welcome back everybody. Guess what time it is? It is the time of the month where we do our monthly clean eating episodes. This is a continuation of our clean eating series 101, and we are continuing on the 10 commandments for clean eating, which Charissa is holding up here. If you're not familiar with the 10 commandments of clean eating, please go to www.iamacleaneater.com and get the 10 commandments, which are all listed there along with the blogs and videos. So our topic today is commandment number 7, which is ask questions. And this is one of my favorite ones because if you know me, you know I am inquisitive and I do ask a lot of questions. So this is easy for me to do because I have the personality type to do this. Now we want to help you understand the types of questions you should be asking. One of the most important questions that I think needs to be asked that nobody seems to want to know or know to even to ask is, how did that, whatever that is, get on my plate? That's the biggest question we should be asking. So with that said, I'm here in the store in Artisan's Palette, and I'm going to pass it on to your old faithful here, Charissa Bradley, who is very well versed in all of the commandments, and she's going to go through and expand on that concept of asking questions and bringing it all in with regards to nutrition, our cellular health, our movement health, all those important components for leading a clean eating lifestyle. Charissa? See you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us again tonight. So this is our 7th month in a row now following the 10 commandments. We're on commandment number 7, like Pia said. And this commandment is especially important, and as we get into 7, 8, 9, and 10, you'll see how much they all follow each of the commandments. So just as an example, commandment number 1, let the ingredient list guide you. That also plays into ask questions because we want to be asking questions about the ingredients that are in the food. So kind of breaking it down even a little bit more, like Pia said, what the most important question is how did that piece of food get to our plate, or how does that get to our mouth? So the processing that's included in that, as well as where the sources came from. Those are very important things to understand. So if you're eating some type of meat, you want to know what that meat was fed, how that meat, like how that animal was treated, and then how did it get to you? So was it from this country? Was it shipped from another country? What kind of processing went into play when that meat came to you? So a lot of our meat gets radiated in order to kill any type of parasites. So that's an important question to understand is your meat getting radiation before you're eating it? So understanding not only, how did it just get to my plate, but really what happened to that food in between that whole process. So asking questions, especially when we're letting the ingredient list guide us. So we're looking through the ingredient lists of an actual food product, not just focusing on the nutritional facts, the sugar, fat, content, those types of things, but understanding where did those sugars come from? Where did the fat come from? Where did the carbohydrates come from? What source is that being sourced from? And then even more understanding what types of things went into that source. So if it's egg, is it organic egg? Is it a pastured egg? And what do those mean? If you have questions about that, you can always go back and check our Clean Eating 101 video for commandment number 3, let go organic or non-GMO. So in that lesson, we actually talked a lot about what it means to have your food eating a certain kind of food, or being, even if you're vegetarian, vegan, and you're eating foods that have been grown somewhere in the United States or outside of the United States, it's important to understand where did it come from, how did it get to you, and what was done to it before it came to you. Was it sprayed with a lot of pesticides? Does it have herbicides on it? How did they keep the bugs out of it? Is it organic? And if it is organic, there's still a list of 70 things or so that they can put on it even though it's organic. So understanding exactly those things. So we've talked about this before. We talked about getting to know your farmers markets and shopping local. But in even more than that, getting to know those people, it's getting to know them by asking the right questions. So when you go to the farmer's market and you're getting to know your farmers, or you're getting to know the local people who make your produce, asking them questions like, what types of herbicides or pesticides do you use? If you're not a certified organic farm, what are you doing to help protect me still, even though you're not certified organic? Being considered an organic farm is actually a 5-year process. So there are really great farmers that are local, that are growing in a very compliant way without any pesticides or herbicides, but they're still on that 5-year waiting list to get their certification. So asking them those questions, that's really going to help you get to the bottom of it. We also have plenty of organic farmers that are putting pesticides and things that are allowed, even though they got that organic stamp. So asking them, okay, you're organic, but what are you putting on to make sure that your vegetables aren't getting lost for bug or whatever it may be? When you're in a restaurant, I think it's especially important to know what the food is and what the quality of the food is, even in the restaurants. So don't just blindly trust someone who's putting food on your plate. Asking them questions like, what types of oils do you use? Where does your meat come from? Where do your vegetables come from? It's very trendy right now to use the term from farm to table. But if you look at the fine print, they'll often say we're farm to table when we can, or when it's possible for us to be. And what that means generally, and I'm not speaking as a blanket statement, but generally what that means is that they're still ordering their regular order, but they put those buzzwords on the menu. And because they said that when it's convenient for them to get organic foods, they don't necessarily have to have any of that convenience. They can continue to order their food that comes from the back of a truck, goes into the freezer, and then is made there on site. So those are questions that need to be asked, not just, what the source is. And if you see a restaurant that says farm to table, asking, okay, what farm are you getting these things from? And then what's going to in the process of that. So we have restaurants local here in Temecula, where we are, Temecula, California, that do these farm to table, really actually do them, but then they're using bad oils. They're soaking in soybean oil or frying in canola oil. So then we've taken this beautiful process, clean, organic, pasture raised, all of these things, but then we fry them in something bad, and now all of a sudden you still have all of the inflammatory responders and cancer causing carcinogens and all of these things that are still happening, even though it's farm to table in a real way. So asking what types of sauces you're using, what types of marinades you're using. Is there sugar in the marinade? Is there corn in the marinade? Is there canola oil in the blend that the meat is being cooked in? And then of course, where did it come from? Where did it come from? And asking that in any situation that you find yourself in. So for me, I found it easier that I just mostly eat at home, and I have a couple of restaurants that I respect and that I trust and that I eat there as well. But it's very rare for me to go out somewhere where I don't know where things are made from and how they're made or how they're processed, because I don't want to make any of those concessions for myself. So it makes it easier for me to just make it myself, and I do that often. But if you are out, even in a grocery store, or even in a store like this, I'm in Artisan's Palette in Temecula, like Pia said, and I'm encouraging people to ask questions. Pick up a piece of, whatever, whether it's your granola bar or an RX bar. We have RX bars in the shop, and we did a special a couple of weeks ago about RX bars being a really wonderful stepping stone, but their dates and their egg yolks and all their egg whites that they use are not organic. So you can ask those types of questions. So what does it mean that those things aren't organic? Well, like Pia and I will both tell you, it's a wonderful stepping stone, and it's a heck of a lot better than eating a Pop-Tart. But there are also really good options out there. So by asking those questions, you open the doors up for more quality answers to help educate yourself and help inform yourself. So next month we'll be talking about getting informed. And that's all about finding your tribe, finding the people that you trust, the doctors that you trust, the health professionals that you think are good for you, that you trust their answers, and following those people and asking them questions and asking us questions if you ever have any about, even things like what kind of salad dressing should I get, or what kind of oils are bad for me, or why are those oils bad for me. So I've had several clients every day that I feel like there are simple little things that don't come up. So if you have problems, if you have an issue, my gut's hurt, or I have no gallbladder, or whatever it may be, it's even more especially important for you to ask those questions. So asking questions in the restaurant: what's the cross-contamination like? Do they have separate areas in the restaurant where they cook certain types of food so that it helps to protect you more? You can also do a lot of this research, asking a lot of these questions online without having to do it in a personal way, so that you can, save yourself a little bit of time and maybe even a little bit of insecurity sometimes about asking the waitress or waiter or chef what's in their meals. You can save yourself a little bit by going online and seeing what those things are actually sourced from, and saying, where do you get your food from? So like Pia was saying, the most important question that we can ask, and that's like really an umbrella term for all of this, is what is the process from your food here to your food on your plate? And I'd like to take it even one step back and say, what happened to that food even from the beginning? So how was it grown? Where did the seeds come from? How was the animal raised? What kind of food was the animal raised on? If you are eating animals and the animals are eating corn and soy and grains, where are they getting those corn and soy and grains? So really getting to the bottom of those questions and staying educated. So asking yourself, going deeper each time you have the opportunity to really focus on what you're eating and what you're putting in your body, and saying, okay, this is so important to me. I need to know what the chickens are being fed that the eggs I'm eating have in them, and where they're being raised and things like that. So really asking those hard questions. And it doesn't take long. It'll take you maybe a couple months, and then you'll feel really comfortable asking questions, and you'll have a lot of answers, so you can feel really confident about the choices that you're making. And I've mentioned this probably 100 times to you guys before, but every single time you put something in your mouth, it's either going to help you and get you further, and it's going to aid in cellular regeneration, or it's going to take you back. It's going to hurt you. It's going to make your cells weaker, your body weaker. So we don't get to say like, oh, I ate good, so I'm going to have this one cheat, and I'm gonna do this one thing because I've done so well for myself. The problem with that is you basically are undoing that good stuff you've done, all that good progress you've made, just for this one, guilty pleasure or whatever it may be. So this is important for you to understand, because we want to make sure that you're really getting that understanding of everything I put in my body, I'm getting out something too. And again, we did another class on this on our return on investment. So what you put in is what you're getting out, and whether that's energy, whether that's more mental clarity, whether that's more time, longevity, feeling healthy for longer periods of time, all of that stuff. So when we ask these questions and we really get to the bottom of where we are and where the food is coming from, and not just our food as far as like, what you're eating all day long, but your supplements and your hair care and your body products and your deodorant and your nail polish and all of these things, start questioning if this is something you want in, on, or around your body. And breathing in things that we're breathing in, candles that we breathe, diffusers that we're breathing in, things that are chemical related, that are getting into our respiratory system or our lymphatic system in any way that they are, that we need to know what's in it. We need to know where it came from and what it's going to do to your body. So start now asking questions. When someone tells you, oh, I got this beautiful chicken, it's all organic, and I got this, this great meal and all these things, say, okay, where did you get the chicken from? More out of curiosity, not out of judgment, but I'm curious, where is the chicken from? I'm curious, where is the meat coming from? Where was the grain coming from? And again, not as a judgment, not as to hurt the other person, but to say, these are important facts for me to understand so that I can continue making good, positive changes for myself and for my family. So ask the questions, start asking the hard questions, and it will get easier, and it won't take that long for you to really build that fortress around yourself of, these are the things that I feel comfortable with, these are the things I know are good for me, and you won't have to feel that insecurity or that constant need to be searching. Pia, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to just put this out there. Recently, I'm I get a magazine called Sunset. You're probably familiar with it. If you're from this area, you're familiar with Sunset. And I was reading this article that they were profiling a chef in the Bay Area, and he was talking about all the new, menu items that they added and stuff. And one of the things that was being advertised as being good was that it's grass-fed beef finished with grain.
How does that make any sense?
Well, they started off grass.
Right? So like 5 days they got grass.
Or whatever. Yeah. And then at
Grain
the end, they grain finished. Like this was like...
I'm sorry.
I know, right? So this was somehow a selling point for a really expensive steakhouse but at least they were transparent. They just said it and were like advertising it like this is what you want.
This is a really good piece of meat that was fed really good corn.
Right. And then see, the problem with this is now people are going to see that on the menu and then they're going to think, oh, well now I need to look for that at the supermarket. So then it goes back to what we were saying before, is the deceptive marketing, which is commandment number 3. So we need to understand, it's like, okay, if we're being told this, it doesn't mean that it's good or clean eating. Just like when you look at a recipe, you might be a huge fan of, like, name a famous chef. I don't know, name one, Wolfgang Puck, whatever, whoever. And then you could get a recipe and it says, oh, first ingredient, use canola oil. Okay, so just because it's a great chef, it doesn't mean that that is clean eating. Right? Just because you go to an expensive restaurant doesn't mean you're clean eating, and doesn't mean that you're not going to ask questions. So that's my advice is, you have got to know, how did that food get here? And that goes back to all the other commandments that we talked about, is support local, understand, go to the farmer's market. Yeah,
and ask questions when you're in the deceptive marketing thing and you're seeing, okay, grass-fed, grain finished. Right. That's exactly opposite of everything we've read up till this point. And asking questions, is that really better for me to have a grain finished animal? Is that really better? And before we go and start making those decisions, and like Pia said, that's a really big problem. So I see that as a really big problem. If there's someone influential or someone in a place of authority, like a chef, and you're at a restaurant and you're not a chef, so they're the authority figure, telling you that this makes something worth more money, that's automatically going to make the connection in our brain. If it's worth more money, it must be better for me.
Yes, exactly. And you're going to go and pay what? They're at a steakhouse, you're like at least $45 for a steak. Oh, yeah. So it's like, I'm telling you right now, it's not worth $45. Do not put your money down or anything like that. Right. I'm not even sure I'd pay $12.
Well, for a grain-finished cow? No, it's going to not be...
I know I wouldn't eat it.
You're going to be paying for butter, because that's what they're going to do to make it taste better. Butter and salt. That's what, I mean, like, I could buy you a stick of butter and salt. You can pay me $45 if you wanted to.
As long as it's not Land O'Lakes.
I'll get you Kerrygold if you want. Kerrygold for $45. I'll give you a piece of hamburger, butter and salt too. Gross.
So the deceptive marketing is everywhere. It is so pervasive. It's troubling, actually.
It is, and we've done a whole class on deceptive marketing, so you can go back and check that out. But I think it's important to reiterate each time we do the next 10 commandments how these all, even though they're separate components in and of themselves, they all relate to each other. They intertwine. And this commandment number 7, ask questions, also relates back to ask questions about the organic non-GMO.
Oh, for sure.
Ask questions about the ingredient list. Ask questions for deceptive marketing. Ask questions about the farmers markets and growing your own vegetables. So all of these things, ask questions relates to every single one of them. It's like read the ingredient list and ask questions.
Yes,
go non-GMO, organic, and ask questions.
So let's give them some ideas of. Okay, so one thing I see a lot of people do at farmers markets is they'll go to the egg guy or gal, and they'll see, oh, here are all these eggs, and then there's colored eggs. Okay, so they immediately are going toward the colored eggs because somehow they're fresher. they're not.
Sure.
It's
Just
type
the different kind of chicken.
Right.
Like a different
type
chicken
of
lays a
hen.
different hen. Yeah.
But those are the types of questions that most people will ask is, oh, why are they different colors? And not that that's a bad question,
No, not
because
at all.
at least that's a question
Yeah.
that you're asking.
Yeah.
But the more in-depth question would be, oh, where's your farm?
Where's your farm?
Right?
What
kind of
chickens
grass
eat?
do you use?
Yeah.
You
Do
know,
you have a supplemental feed?
exactly. What is the supplemental feed? Where
Mhm.
do you get it? So, and just because
Are they inside, outside? How much space do they have?
yes,
So, I mean, there's so many amazing questions.
so many amazing questions.
Chickens, I've said this 100 times, chickens are not vegetarians.
Yeah.
They are omnivores. They eat bugs, parasites, grass, wheat, you know, like all of those
Mhm.
things. They're meant to be outside grazing, just like any other grazing animal.
Mhm.
So a lot of times the farmers that don't have that much space or don't have the ability to let them graze that much will supplemental feed. And that, I mean, that's very common across
Yes.
the board. They'll say
Yeah.
pasture raised, supplemental feed is all grain,
Vegetarian fed, which is
no
code
corn
for
and soy.
corn and soy.
Totally.
Yes.
So making sure you're asking those questions. So
Yes.
where's your farm? What are your, like, what does the housing for your chickens look
Yes.
like? Are they outside? Is there a supplemental feed? What is the supplemental feed? Is it organic? Is it non-GMO? Like,
Right.
this is the layering of these questions, and we can do that with everybody you
Everything.
talk to.
Exactly.
So, but understanding that there's more to ask than just why are they different colors.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that was my point. So I'll leave it back to you because I've got to deal with this here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
so I'd just like to kind of wrap up here. So it's so important to start asking questions. So even if you don't know the right questions to ask, you can check out our blog on this on www.iamacleaneater.com. Check out the blog, and we have a blog for this commandment, and I do actually go specifically into detail about each food category and what types of questions you should ask for each one of those. So if you want more details, go back and check out the blog, get a little bit more information. And then, as always, if you have any questions about things you need to know from me, drop it in the comments, PM either Pia or I, and we'd be more than happy to answer your questions. That's what we are here for, and we are encouraging you to do so that we can help you as best as we possibly can. That's our whole goal. So I really hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us again, and I will see you next month for I Am a Clean Eater 101, commandment number 8, which is get moving. So maybe we'll do some kind of like a fun dance or something during that class. Stay tuned. Have a great night. Thank you.